Hi guys, so today I would like to share with you something that I've discovered more recently regarding 4 fletched arrows. So these are 4 fletched arrows. Have a look, there's 4 feathers, right? So what I'm gonna present to you, I don't actually have very solid proof whether it's performing better or not, but based on my own observation, based on my own test, I've seen convincingly better result for me. So if you guys have also 4 fletched arrows, give it a try and let me know if you find the same result or not. So the thing that I'm gonna be talking about has to do with the X versus plus configuration. What do I mean? Okay. So when I say X configuration, what I really mean is that when the arrow is knocked to the bowstring, the feathers makes an X shape. I'm not sure if you can see it. Sorry, here, an X shape relative to the bowstring. All right, you see, the feathers make an X shape relative to the bowstring. This is what I mean by an X configuration. And then the other one, the plus configuration, that would be like this. All right, let's have a look. So the 2 feathers are parallel top down with the string, and then there's another 2 that's like poking out left and right perpendicular to the bowstring. Okay, this would be the plus configuration. And I have discovered that the plus configuration is working far better. Okay, so what have I done to test? And what was the test that I've done? So basically what I did was something like 2 months ago, I don't remember exactly. Back then, I moved the target really close, the target butt. I move it about between 3 to 5 meters, probably closer to 3 meters, because we want the shortest distance possible such that the arrow do not have enough time for the feathers to catch the air and start spinning the arrow. That's why it's probably like 3, maybe plus a little bit, 3.5 meters, something like that. So it's very short distance. And what we did was, when we shot the X configuration, since the feathers is actually all the same color, what we were observing was the index here. If you look at the knock, right, there's actually one side that has an index, the other side doesn't have. So we were observing based on the index position on the knock. Oh, side. So when we shot the X configuration, as it leaves like this, the knock is right here, so the index is right here, it hits the target exactly in this position as well, meaning that the arrow has not started spinning, right? And we repeated this many times over several arrows, and they all had the same exact result, that the arrow has not started to spin. However, when we do the plus configuration, you cannot see it because it's black knock. The index is pointing to my finger right now. Okay, here, right here. So when I release the plus configuration fletchings, the arrow at about 3.5 meters distance, it already rotated by 90 degrees. The index was pointing somewhere around 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock position. So it has rotated by approximately 90 degrees within such a short distance. And based on this observation, I theorized that the plus configuration would probably give us a much better result, because the arrow stabilizes sooner and starts spinning sooner, giving us a more consistent result than the X configuration. Again, I don't really have very solid proof with this one, because everyone shoots a bit different, especially with traditional bow, and we are not even that accurate, so we can't give you a very perfect result. But my own shooting, my own test, the results are convincingly good. It's very good. So if you have, give it a try. Now I'm going to explain why I think it's better, and what I think is going on that makes it better. Okay, so normally with the 4-fletched, when we shoot them off the bow, So if you do a perfect katra, the arrow actually doesn't kick much left and right. It pretty much goes straight out of the bow towards where you're pointing it. So sometimes, however, sometimes we make a mistake and we have imperfect shots. We do our katra just under, less than perfect. So when we have a less perfect shot, our arrow is gonna kick the arrow rest and it's gonna move outwards away from the bow. Okay, and if you do not do katra, it's gonna be worse. It's gonna kick the arrow rest so hard, and the arrow is gonna kick like really away from the bow. Okay, so when the arrow moves away from the bow, after it kicks the bow, it moves away, right? So we're talking about the imperfect shots. Of course, perfect shot with perfect katra, we don't have to talk about it, it's straight out of the bow. So we're talking about imperfect bow, it kicks out. When it kicks out, what happens now? It has this sideways motion, right? There's a sideways motion. And when it goes sideways, you actually have a smaller profile because your feathers now is instead of like that, it's angled like that, right? So we actually have a smaller profile here that pushes into the wind. Okay, it pushes into the wind. It's a smaller profile here. Also, as it pushes sideways, it has a sideways movement like that. As the air comes over, catches here, and tries to resist and tries to slow down the arrow from moving sideways. Once it passes this point, the air at the back is turbulent, meaning it's messy, it's chaotic. It's not very effective at pushing the feather behind it to slow down. So the arrow actually kicks out more. Okay, it kicks out more because the back here is really not doing much work. It's relying on this feather in here that's pushing into the air. But again, it's a smaller profile here. Compared to if you have a plus configuration like this, because now the feather is sticking out like that and like that, both sides, they are at a maximum surface area. As the maximum surface area towards that side. So when it kicks out that way, it has the biggest surface area to catch as much wind as possible to stop the arrow from going out too far. So compared to the X, okay, the X, you see, when it's rotated like this versus this one, which one has a bigger profile? Okay, it's not very clear, not very obvious to the camera because of the angle, but you can do your own test and you get what I mean. So this one being X is actually a little bit smaller in profile than the feathers that is like sticking straight out. Okay, so the moment it kicks out, this one is a bigger surface area to catch the wind and preventing it from going out as much. Okay, so it's gonna kick out less compared to this guy here. And once it has left the bow and your hand going out like that, because the airflow is actually clean for 3 feathers. You see, this guy here at the top, this is definitely clean, right? Because when you shoot, this is completely exposed to the air, it's clean air. This one also clean air. The bottom here, once it passes your hand, is clean air. You have 3 feathers that's exposed to laminar flow, meaning that the air is clean, tidy, and it's gonna catch the feather and start spinning the arrow. The feather over here, however, is not helping because as the arrow pushes sideways, the feathers here and the shaft here is actually pushing the air. So at the back here, it's actually kind of like partial vacuum. The airflow here is messy, turbulent. It's not helping. But even though this is pretty much useless here, we have 3 feathers doing work to start spinning. It tries to catch the air and tries to start spinning the arrow. We have 3 feathers here. Compared to, in this case, only 2 of them is working. The other 2 is not doing very much work because the airflow here is somewhat disturbed by the feathers here and the shaft. So the air here is turbulent. You only have 2 feathers trying to spin the arrow compared to 3 feathers. Alright, so now when you release them, this one here, that's in a plus configuration versus this X configuration, this is gonna kick less because it catches air first, it catches more air, whereas this guy's gonna kick more. So when it kicks more here, it needs to correct more, whereas this one, it kicks less, it needs to correct less. And also with 3 feathers, it starts spinning sooner. This one, with two feathers being effective, it starts spinning slower. And so based on my own observation, the plus configuration is spinning my arrow sooner, not faster, alright? Don't confuse. It is not spinning the arrow faster. They are both, once they stabilize, both of them spin at the same rate because the rate depends on the offset or the helical that you have on the feathers. So both of them spin at the same rate, but the plus configuration starts spinning sooner than the X configuration. Now, is there a pro and con? Well, I told you the pro just now, so I'm going to tell you the cons. So I have been shooting this feather for quite a while, and I went to observe that one feather is worn. See that? Very obvious which side I'm shooting from, right? You see this feather here? It's worn. Why? Well, I think I don't need too much explanation what's going on, right? So I knock them like this. As it goes out, well, this feather is gonna smash right into the bowl. So we have the maximum amount of friction on this feather here. But is it bad? I think it's not that bad because I'm going to show you another arrow that I use them in an X configuration. So both started off fairly new, of course, and both subjected to approximately the same amount of shots. The one that was put in an X configuration, well, it's actually not doing much better. You see, this one here is actually really a lot of wear. It's very, very frayed very badly. The feathers are like, I'm not sure you can see it, but it's pretty shitty. You see this one? So, why is that? Because when we shoot them like that, it still smashes 2 of the feathers into here, causing 2 of the feathers to wear significantly. And as a result, what I normally do with this arrow here is that I spin up 180 degrees every once in a while, keep cycling them so that I kind of like balance the wear to all 4 sides, which is still a lot of wear compared to this one here. I wear out only 1 feather, so I can, like, if I want, I can do the same trick where I'm gonna rotate the knock 90 degrees every once in a while, so I spread the wear to all 4 feathers, which is also better because now I have 4 feathers to spread the wear, whereas that one I pretty much have like, yeah, I mean I have 4 feathers, but each time it wears 2. This one, it has 4, each time it wears 1. So I can spin this 4 times, I can only spin that twice, and I pretty much wear that out very, very quickly. With this one, I think, even though the wear seems to be graded on a single feather, but I believe over time it actually wears less once you distribute all 4 of them. So I do have something else. I did raise the knock height a little bit because in order to reduce the wear on the bottom feather, okay, I do not want the bottom feather to be scrubbing my hand so much because we are already wearing out 1 of the feather more. So this one obviously is gonna go straight into our hand, and to reduce the wear, I raised the knock height by a little bit. So in this case, I'm doing something like, in this case, what I'm seeing is about 2 mil, but I think 3 mil would probably be better. Yeah, give it a little bit more space so that there's less wear on 1 feather. But other than that, I don't think there's too much cons on this configuration other than just the wear and tear. Performance-wise, I feel amazing with this arrow, and I hope that maybe if you try it, it will work better for you. Well, good luck to you.